So the first thing that I'm going to do is work on the mock-ups for the iPhone 6. When I first created all the designs for this app, I created them kind of in a basic template. That way the design can be ported to basically every device. We're designing for iOS and Android and all of phones and tablets, so there's just a lot of screen sizes to make sure that we cover and make sure that, our app can work on. However, the issue is that the design is put on this framework that will kind of be malleable and move to every screen size, which is great because it means that it can work on any screen. The problem, though, is that it doesn't look perfect on any screen. So the solution for that is to create a specific design for every possible screen size. Getting every possible screen size is an impossible task because there's maybe a dozen or so on iOS and there's over 7,000 screen sizes on the Android side. So what we've decided to do is focus on the main screen sizes. So we are going to create specific designs for the iPhone 6, 6 Plus, 5, or 5, 5S, and then we're going to create for iPad mini, iPad, and iPad Pro on the iOS side. On the Android side of things, it's the same principle. So we're going to design for just a few devices, of really the mainstream devices, and make sure that those all look perfect. And everything else, if you have an obscure screen size on an outdated phone, it'll still look good, it just won't look perfect because there's just no way for us to create 7,000 different designs on that side of things. So that's my focus today. I want to make sure that iPhone 6 mockups look great. That way my developers can start on that this week. So it's taken me a good while, but I think I finally have the process down of how I'm going to get all of these iPhone 6 mockups done. Let me show you. In this folder right here, this is where all of the designs are for the Ultimate Drillbook app. So these are all Photoshop files and they're all organized through these different folders. So you can take a look, open one up. There's kind of the user interface for Ultimate Drillbook. Now when I originally created these Photoshop files, I didn't create them in a specific iPhone or Android phone size. I just created them kind of in a general framework that would work for everything. So now what I've done is I've taken these files and I take one and I put it into the right size, and then I come over here into Photoshop and I play with it until everything looks the way that I want it to look. So with this, I changed the font. We're going to use the Apple San Francisco font. I made sure all of the proportions are perfectly equal. I made sure everything felt really good right here on the screen. So the next step is to see what this looks like on an iPhone screen. So what I do is I export this as a quick PNG and I send it to myself in Messages. And you can see here's all of the different photos or different PNGs that I've sent myself. Once I send it to myself, I grab my phone and I take a look at it and I see how it feels. Now this is not the actual application, this is just the picture, but it fits perfectly on the phone, so it gives me an idea of how things feel, of how things are going to feel when I use it with one hand. And so I can kind of get an idea, this is what it feels like, this is what it looks like. And then if I don't like something, I go back into Photoshop, I change it, send it back to myself, and check it out on my phone. And that's the general process that I use to make sure that everything on the iPhone 6 looks exactly how I want it. And so far, I've done that with one screen. So this is literally one mock-up. Now, as you were looking at the files earlier, tons of different screens, tons of different mock-ups, tons of different things that I have to make sure look good on every single device. And it's not just things with this view. I mean, there are things, just the logistical things in terms of logging in and signing up and things like that. So this process is completely necessary, but it's also really tedious, to be honest. It's really difficult. But it's going to mean that the experience for whoever is using this app, whether it's on an iPhone 6 or 6 Plus or 5 or 4 on an Android device, is going to be great all the time. And that's the number one priority. jumping into the University of Texas Band's website right now, my number one thing that I'm going to start working on right now is making sure that the items that we use on several pages are global items. Here's what I mean by that. When you look at the actual page, so I use these little modules, so things like upcoming events, join a band, support Texas bands. These are where they are in the builder, and I'm going to make these global, which means if I change one of these on one of the pages, then it's going to update them on all of the pages. That way I don't have to go to every one of the 25 pages and update the upcoming events or join a band or support Texas bands if I need to change the way that looks, the way that feels, or anything that it says. So my number one priority right now is on the back end, which is making all of these types of things global events, which means it'll be way easier to edit in the future.